I feel like it's summer under these lights. I hope I get some tan at least. Well, good morning to everyone. Welcome to be here. Welcome to be at Blockwall's Investor Summit. And also hi to everyone who is here in person. Hi to everyone who is here virtually. This year we have a first exception where we stream to a great community called Kaufman Fellows. It's a global VC community, and they will be joining us from Korea to San Francisco today and will observe what we're doing here in Germany. I can understand that they prefer to be virtually when I look outside. So let's start the day with an important question. What is Web3? The idea behind Web3 isn't very clear to a lot of people, although it might turn out as one of the most transformational technologies and revolution in the 21st century. Many associate the term with digital assets, with digital collectibles like NFTs, leading people to dismiss the technology which is actually fueling the principles underneath. So the aim of today's summit is actually to change that. We want to provide you with a clear understanding of what is crypto and what is Web3, and how it will reshape the internet of today. After today, you should have a clear understanding of what is crypto and also about the investment case which is underlying. So let's travel back in time, about 40 years. And don't worry, I'll do this in a fast-forward version. So, what is Web 1? That was the internet's beginnings. Without any doubt, the internet was one of the, if not the most transformational revolutions we have seen in the 20th century. Its first iteration, something we call Web 1, was based on a few protocols, namely HTTP, so what we see as the web, or SMTP, which we use at email, that allowed us users to share and access information from anywhere at any time. It mainly consisted of static websites, which means that unlike our current internet, there was no direct interaction between individual users. Thus, this era is also called as the read-only web. The web's infrastructure was primarily characterized by openness and permissionlessness, which means that anyone on Earth could access it and use it equally. Web 2 is the new reality. Starting in the 2000s, mid-2000s, the first social networks emerged. Those networks fundamentally changed the way the average user uses the internet, as it enabled anyone to easily publish their content online, and additionally, they not only enable people to connect, but also to interact with each other's content, which made the internet as it is today, and made the experience more dynamic. This is what we call the read-write web. Social networks experienced a significant growth in the mid-2000s. Facebook is the most known, with around 3 billion monthly active users. And this is led by a handful of companies, those which are controlling the networks, and they control a disproportionate amount of the entire traffic which is happening in the web. And Web 2 also led to the ad-based revenue model and centralization. So the user-generated content makes the networks like Facebook or Meta valuable in the first place. But the majority of revenues end up with the network operators, so the companies actually controlling it. And just to give you, because many people don't care so much of their social data, Meta alone made $131 billion in revenue the last 2 years with your data. And it's pretty simple. If you can use a service for free, then you are the product. So, what is Web3? Put simply, it's the future internet. The aim of Web3 is to put ownership over the internet back in the user's hands. It creates an entire new network based on a new technology stack in order to ensure that big tech cannot unilaterally decide and change the rules. A key aspect of Web3 is the notion of digital ownership, where users can truly own their digital lives, their data, content, and identity. The result of this evolution is a more democratic, private, transparent, and secure web, and an environment where people can truly live in a free and democratic way. Now, how does this relate to us? How does this relate to how we think about the digital future? Blockwall has been a thesis-driven fund from the very beginning. What started off as a fund-specific thesis for Fund 1 evolved into a firm-wide thesis and how we view the internet and our digital future and how this will evolve over time. As a result, our thesis guides us in our investment decisions, what themes we focus on, we build the portfolio for our funds, and how we also will evolve as a firm. We first published this investment thesis for our Fund 1 for our investors in 2018 when the fund began investing. And already then we described this notion of moving from Web 1 over Web 2 to Web 3. Back then we had the necessity to analyze this in more detail. We published an asset classification framework. We looked at the entire tech stack to understand where value is actually being created and captured. Just to give you a notion, 2018, the state of technological development in the crypto asset space was still in its infancy. So this meant that the foundation, so the infrastructure protocols for apps to be actually built on, was not yet in place or was limited in scope. There were several items we focused on to try to find a solution for, and one of the most important ones was scalability. And this is a prerequisite for mass adoption. As we believed the most innovation and progress will also still be happening on this infrastructure layer, this is where we focused our investments on. And this led to companies we invested in like Solana and Fetch. And we invested at the very early stage. So this is not a token investment. We met the founders of Solana, for example, when there were 7 people working out of a co-working space in San Francisco. And that was long before they issued a token, long before there was a clear go-to-market strategy. We helped shape the global crypto ecosystem with our investments while producing outliers for our LPs. Investing in such volatile crypto asset environment also required a more long-term and fundamental value-oriented approach to allow for the technology to evolve and gain acceptance over time. For these reasons, we are confident in taking a long-term investment approach in this asset class and offering closed-ended funds, venture capital funds, rather than crypto hedge funds. In the years following fund launch, Fund 1, we've seen a significant increase in recognition and in use of the infrastructure layer, which led to a certain state of maturity, thus enabling entrepreneurs to enhance current business models, leading to a surge on the service and application layer. These are services critical for the crypto ecosystem to work. These are not necessarily companies which are using a token themselves, but are using the technology underneath. We saw by this observation that this is opening up a new investment sphere. So this developed into the thesis for a second fund, focusing on the service and application layer within the crypto industry. And thus, our investment sphere opened up beyond tokens, but rather equity investments in our Fund 2. And this led us to companies which we invested in, like Nylos and Spherity, which we will touch upon later, and Validation Cloud, to name our most recent startup at Blockwall, which just amazingly raised a Series A successfully. So you will hear from Alex later, who made the long way from the US to be with us today. But if we look at Fund 1 and Fund 2, so infrastructures, application, and services, we did 41 investments over the years. And one of the things we are proud of as well is the performance of our first fund. So we are actually already paid back 4 times net to our investors at a net IRR of 43%. And we're able to push Fund 1 into the top 5% globally, compared to around 2,000 other VC funds. Also, Fund 2 is having its first successes, as I said, with Validation Cloud and others. And we have 50% deployed already and planning, so 15 investments, and planning to do the other 50% until mid-2026. I'm also very proud what we achieved as a team. We've screened around 2,100 deals this year, accelerating our deal flow engine, and made 8 commitments in total for Fund 2. Now, coming back to the market. Today, we can definitely see that the infrastructure has improved and has reached an initial scalability. Just to give you an example, Ethereum is doing 119 transactions per second, and over time, technological development created, for example, with Solana, enabling theoretically 65,000 transactions per second. There have been breakthrough innovations on the financial service side, so decentralized finance, on the payment side, such as stablecoins. And the last decade has been proof that the technology works, that it can be used, and that tokens are a powerful tool to incentivize communities and bring back that original vision of the internet, a more decentralized internet, controlled and owned by its participants rather than a few corporations. Even though the market has been volatile and is seen as volatile, we are at 3.3 trillion in global market cap size and a CAGR of 106% since 2014. And there were notable late-stage deals already, which emerged out of this on the service and application layer, so such as Coinbase, Ledger, or OpenSea, just to name a few. But why should we care about the internet and how the internet will evolve into the future? As always, technology can be used for the good or the bad, but inherently, technology is neutral, and its impact events heavily on its creators and users. Therefore, as we look into the future, we look at what companies are actually worth building and how we are building these companies. And we live in a world where access has become synonymous with a good living standard, with prosperity. Access to banking, access to healthcare, and access to medical products. But also access to the internet has become a prerequisite for participating in our global economy and defines how we share information and how we interact with each other as people. Why does this matter? Because 2/3 of the world is already connected with the internet. 1/3 is not. 850 million people are still without ID, which is the prerequisite to open a bank account, for example. And we will have 17 billion devices this year which are connected to the internet, which will grow up to 30 million in only a few years. At the same time, our devices are becoming more powerful, and the tools of our daily lives are becoming smarter. Our car, our home, everything is connected to the internet, and a massive amount of data and information and value is being exchanged every year. So the effects of today's internet is that we have privacy abuse. We're seeing more and more GDPR fines, for example, the list led by Meta, Google, Amazon, TikTok. We're seeing a lack of transparency and a continuous increase in data monopolies. 57% is only controlled by a few firms. And we see a lot of data hacks. 10.5 trillion annually is this year, 300% increase since 2015. And in fact, the internet, as we know it today, was not originally designed for today's use. This is why the evolution of the internet and the transition to Web3 is so important, to improve the status quo and to improve and build the foundation of our digital world, preparing for more people being online, for more devices being used, and more information and data being exchanged. Such as we care about a secure and transparent life and infrastructure in our physical world, the same way we have to care about how our digital world is being built. This is why we at Blockwall are so committed to Web3 and why we want to use our funds to contribute to a transparent and secure digital future for all generations. And by partnering with us, you will contribute as well. Technological innovation is the best chance we have to solve and find an answer for the most critical challenges of our future. As I said, so for example, providing access to healthcare and medical products that aren't counterfeit. 1 in 10 medical products are fake. And around 1 million patients die a year because of forged medical products. A company like Spherity working on identity solutions and also digital product passports is solving this topic. Or enabling a frictionless, efficient financial system. We have to pay horrendous fees. I just talked to an LP again, where fees can amount up to 20% in transaction fees. So this market is huge, 39 trillion in B2B cross-border payments, or 857 billion in general peer-to-peer transactions. We believe that our Internet of the future will be a feature set and combination of different technologies. It will be Web3 and crypto, for example, enabling the economic layer of the Internet. It will be Web3 and extended reality, enabling the new interface layer. It will be Web3 and AI, which in combination will create the more efficient and productivity layer, or Web3 and Internet of Things, the smart economy layer. We are at an interesting inflection point in history where these technologies are emerging and maturing at the same time. And this will create new opportunities we can't even imagine today, plus help founders create solutions for the most challenging problems of our future. We see that these technologies will work together, not separately, additionally enhancing our digital future. So looking into the future, as an investor at Blockwall, we believe that in order to capture that full potential of these technological innovations, we need to focus on the early stage founders, where innovation happens, and cover the entire Web3 technology stack, looking at all verticals, as well as the intersection with other technologies, so such as AI and extended reality. You will get to know many of these verticals throughout the day, and please use the chance to ask questions. This is a day to understand the different topics. While we have historically separated token and equity investments strategies, this all-in-one investment thesis requires a hybrid fund structure. Therefore, looking ahead, we're happy to announce that we will be starting the fundraise of our Fund 3, and consequently, we are combining early-stage token and equity investments, going forward in a holistic pre-seed and seed Web3-focused venture fund, providing access to digital founders shaping our digital future. This is Blockwall's guiding principle into the future, and this is also the guiding principles for our Fund 3. We are doubling down on Web3, we're doubling down on our approach venture capital. Now, we invite you to partner with us and come with us on this journey to contribute to a transparent and secure digital future for all generations. Now, before we start the day, all of this, of course, would not be possible without a great team who are all here today. So if you see those faces somewhere walking around the room, don't hesitate to approach them, ask them questions, ask them to meet someone, to meet the founders if you want to be directed to. And of course, give a great welcome to all the panelists of today. We have a great crowd who are joining us, who are all here to help you understand this topic and help you to understand the different verticals. Thanks a lot.